Hello everyone, Burb here. I'm a bit late on this one because I wanted to make sure I was on home audio when doing this encyclopedia entry, so today I will be talking about Grand Live Smart Falcon. I'll be doing this in the same way I normally do. I'll get over the banner real quick, and then we'll get right into the character. So for the banner, if you're an Oshi player for Smart Falcon, do note that now she's yellow and she has a skin you can put on either Smart Falcon, and that should be enough for you to pull on her if you enjoy the character. Otherwise, if you're actually kind of wondering how good she is, yes, she's not the top meta, but that's because there's currently Christmas Oguri and Kopana Reiki out. A thing to note that Kopana Reiki doesn't have that this character does have is an innate recovery, and if you're a frontrunner player and you just want a little bit of ease of use, that innate recovery really helps in this Grand Life scenario that doesn't like giving you stamina whatsoever. So it does help against any stamina debuffers, of course, and also just in general being able to pump your speed and wit, because you may not even have to run a stamina card depending on how good your sparks are. Otherwise, she's perfectly fine. She's basically kind of relegated to dirt tracks, although if you do not have Pink Falcon, the only reason why she's not really used on turf tracks is because the Pink Falcon seems to be a little bit better in that regard. So she's perfectly fine on both turf and on dirt. It's just if you have the Pink Falcon, that's the one you're kind of wanting to do on those turf tracks. So that's the only reason why she's relegated to the dirt tracks, and specifically the medium dirt tracks, because her innate built recovery is her advantage over the other Smart Falcon. It's kind of like a more of a comparison reason why she's not quote unquote top meta and universal, more than just not being able to exist. Her aptitudes. I'm talking about turf, but remember, and every Smart Falcon player really knows this, your turf aptitude is E, so there is a lot of parent building you have to do to make sure you get your turf sparks up to A, and most likely S because of the number of turf sparks you need to do. Other than that, she is really flexible, and this is really nice both for parent building as well as for actually running her. She can run in all four distances, although longs can be a little difficult because that'll be a long turf track, which means that you can't necessarily get all of them up to A at the same time, and she's generally considered a front runner, but hypothetically you can run her pace and go for the lucky pace position. I don't see much reason to do that. She is a very good front runner in general. As for her bonuses, she has 20% speed and 10% guts. The 20% speed does a lot of work in the Grand Live scenario. As you know, the base deck for Grand Live is basically 3 speed, 2 wit, and light hello, and you may have a little bit of trouble here hitting your wit stats because of Mahona Bourbon wit not having good output for front runners. But basically, when you're in Grand Live and you can't get enough stamina due to sparks or bonuses, well, you go and you replace one card with a stamina card. In the situations that it is not long or medium, note that you're kind of able to do this pretty easily because the 20% speed bonus is going to help your double speed cards get enough output. You instead on the shorter tracks can go and run a third wit card to supplement your wit because Mahona Bourbon's not going to have the greatest wit output. I suggest trying to go and run your strongest wit cards in these slots because there is a lot of, let's just say, issues with grabbing wit in this scenario if you're not running multiple actual stat generation wit cards. But other than that, the 20% speed bonus just goes a long way in Grand Live. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it in the scenario. Her unique alpha star says, moderately increased velocity steadily when positioned towards the lead around halfway through the race. Also moderately recover endurance if it is a dirt race. So it's pretty self-explanatory this time. Basically, about midway through the race is between 40 and 50%, so it's roughly around the position keep ending as well as the mid-race. It's never going to speed carry over. It's impossible to do so, even with the longer duration. It stops around the 777 mark, actually. So this is just mid-race. It's as simple as that. It's mid-race and plus a gold recovery, as we said, or 2/3 gold recovery. Okay, so you want some mid-race. Here's some mid-race, and of course, the only other condition is you have to be within 4 horse lengths or 10 meters from the lead, which if you are a front runner in any position that you're winning, you will be there. And if you're a pace chaser, after the position keep happens, you usually will be able to go into this. So if you somehow make your pace chaser, you still probably will proc this ultimate, and perhaps if it procs the latest point, I still don't think it reaches if it procs at the very latest point, but this should proc almost immediately at the end of the position keep at the 40% mark. If you do that, you basically get a 6-second 0.25 target speed increase, which is the equivalent, you get a 6-second 0.25 target increase, and if it is dirt, you get a 6 second 0.25 second increase, as well as a stamina recovery 0.035. Do I have it right here? I do not have the comparison, but basically the 6 second 0.25 ultimate is like a Measure Palmer ultimate or like a Gold Chip ultimate. It's rather powerful mid-race, and the stamina recovery is less than Measure Palmer. However, your condition is so simple, as we just kind of went through it a little bit. It has to be a dirt track, and you have to be 4 lengths from the lead rather than having to be in first or second the entire first half of the race. So as long as it's a dirt track, you basically have a Measure Palmer alt with about 2% less stamina recovery, which is about 2/3 of a gold recovery is what she gives rather than a full gold recovery. It's very powerful mid-race, and I keep saying this. However, her inherit's completely shredded. Because it's a stamina speed hybrid, the stamina gets minus 0.4, or rather minus 4%, and her speed gets minus 2. So it's just a 0.05, 0.0005, because it just gives you more than 0. Absolutely zero reason to take this on anybody, okay? So she's relegated to being a ace or an affinity parent, basically, or just a loop-up parent. So you're never going to really get her green spark on anybody and have it be useful. Her careers and events, the thing to note about a Smart Falcon career is that she is very backloaded, which is kind of a problem, especially in Grand Live. As you see, there is 11 goals that she has, and really it is 13 races, which is kind of crazy. You have make debut, you have 2 pre-ops, and then you basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 more races after that. And this is a lot of turns that you're losing in Grand Live, which makes her a little bit disadvantaged in this scenario in general. It's just really tough, and a lot of them being in that Live 3 and Live 4 zone means that you're losing a lot of taps that are generally 50 to 100 like stats in general. So a little bit tough in that regard. Her secret events don't really bring it back, but she gets a random city she needs to do. I don't know exactly. I'm not a Smart Falcon player. How this exactly the odds of this works. I'm pretty sure it's even, and it's basically 2 different courses for it. If you go and you win a race in one of those 2 different courses, you go and get 2 stats. And I believe this is repeatable. I could be wrong, but I believe this is repeatable. You get a little bit bonus stats in addition to race rewards, and if you are able to have enough fans, which you probably will, given you are running pretty much every single... Actually, no, this is dirt. You may have trouble with this as well. But if you are able to get 120,000 fans, you do get a bonus, a little bit of guts and top pick, which helps for her gold, as well as if you win the Kawasaki Keenan, which is an additional race, you get some power and skill points. I think this is also above race awards as well, but it's still a little bit tough to go and recommend that when you're already running 13 races in the career on its own in Grand Live. Sunny Sign it's a good skill. It's basically a ladder half mid-race skill, so it has a higher chance of speed carry over. So that's it. It's just a slightly better general mid-race option. Kawasaki Race Course, obviously good on Kawasaki for stamina and groundwork procking. Otherwise, her events and skills, full tilt, can be given from a early costume event in which you can either get basically by at random 3 or 1. This is just a late race home stretch haste kind of stuff for frontrunners and pace chasers, but honestly anybody, because you kind of have to be towards the front in the last spurt in order to be able to win the race. So full tilt's just generally good. Prudent positioning, of course, is part of the DDPP combo. You can get this from one of her costume events as well. And then Leader's Pride is the Smart Falcon event, and Leader's Pride is top runner white, so it's just bonus skill points if you're running Marzensky, and if you don't have Marzensky speed, it's just a very good skill. This is one of the best mid-race skills in the game because it helps you fight against the next person trying to pass you. For innate skills, she has Dust Cloud, Front Runner Corners, and With All My Soul. The easy one is Front Runner Corners. You're a front runner. There you go. It's cool. With All My Soul is basically just it's not an efficient mid-race skill because its duration is shorter, but you still end up taking it because mid-race is so powerful. It's 1.2 seconds, I believe, instead of the standard 3 seconds, with a debuff of the same duration. So it's basically a 2.4 second skill-esque, so it's less efficient. Dust Cloud it's hard to value because hypothetically the best other frontrunner is going to be the one that's directly behind you, and it can help you against overtaking. But the thing is that it's like uh, the alternative for pink was just you had Smart Falcon ult, you didn't have to worry about this stuff. So it's really weird. You're targeting only one character. If there's more than one frontrunner, you're only hitting one of them, and this is a lot of skill points for just effective one. It's probably less important than pretty much any other mid-race option, but it is technically mid-race against one frontrunner. But remember, you're fighting the entirety of the pack, not just the other frontrunners. When you press angling and scheming, you're still going to have to deal with the Christmas Ogre. Her golds are trending in the charts, which is basically if there's multiple frontrunners, you proc this and it's very good mid-race. And Be the Center. Be the Center is her, I guess, new addition to gold, even though it has existed in the game as a white. If you are in the front late race, basically first through fourth, you will be able to have a gambling acceleration akin to that of a old on your left. It's the entirety of the late race. It isn't the first half. And because of that, it is just a gambling option. It doesn't have as much value as those other ones, but again, this is considered kind of like unrestrained, but on the situations where unrestrained is a corner 4, this would be better than that. Think of that like CM17. For CM viability, just note that Smart Falcon is good on both turf and dirt CMs, as long as you're willing to get the aptitude. Her actual skills on both of them, it's a general mid-race skill on yellow, and it's a general early race skill, like transition to mid-race, usually on pink version. The real question is really what one you should run. Obviously, use the one that you want, but you can swap the outfits, of course. So the thing is that the difference between these two is twofold: the ultimates and the skills that they give. A lot of the skills have a lot of overlap. Smart Falcon Pink gives you a bunch of greens, which really helps when these greens are relevant, which is a lot of times because Frontrunner Savvy is one of the three, and wet conditions and Oi Race Course when it's obviously wet or Oi, especially on this next CM, which is Oi Race Course. The thing is, and it's wet conditions as well, so this is just basically all groundwork stuff for you. If your parents are good enough, though, you don't necessarily need to do this, and you can just get it from parents, although you can also just use better parents because you don't have to worry about the greens is all. This is why people are having trouble in this next CM, because it's all of Smart Falcon's greens are completely relevant as far as I know. It may be firm. I can't remember. I think it is good conditions. Be the Center is that gambling acceleration, and that's the difference in the skills. Do you want a late race gambling option, or do you just want free groundwork? And a lot of people, they want free groundwork. The other thing is, of course, their ultimate, and this kind of extends past this next Champions meeting. Sparkly Stardom's a 0.25, 0.3 acceleration, and Alpha Star is a 0.25 6-second and 0.35 HP recovery. If you're not on dirt, you don't get the HP recovery, which means that you basically have an even ultimate except for 1 second more. And in general, you're just going to find that regular Smart Falcon, because of the timing on the ultimate, is just going to be pretty much the same, if not better. If you put this into any simulator, you're going to find that because of the transition from early race to mid race, Sparkly Stardom makes back a lot of the ground that Alpha Star has with that extra second in the mid race, and it's at a sort of better timing because it's kind of before the no zone, which is that transition from early race to mid race, where your target speed gets increased more. That's a topic for another video, I guess, but let's just say it's, even though it's an additional second, which should just be, an entire 0.25, basically, yes, it's a 0.25 in the situations where it's proccing correctly, but Sparkly Stardom is going to actually edge back a little bit because of the acceleration if it does proc in that transition zone, okay? Otherwise, this kind of makes it so the general suggestion has just been, don't pull Smart Falcon yellow. But honestly, on dirts, man, she's still fine because that bonus stamina. That's really what comes down to it. These two characters have similar ultimates. They have different things that are based on what your build is. If you're an avid parent builder, the greens won't matter as much. You can still get them. It may be nice just to have them, of course, but you may want the additional ceiling of, especially if you're an Oshi player and you're putting hint books on this thing, to try to get the bonus chance of getting 0.6 perfect proc. It is less chance than normal, but it just goes and increases your ceiling. And of course, you get that acceleration to help that recovery to help you in this grand life scenario where you're having a lot of trouble getting that stamina in general. I don't see much reason in turf tracks to run her if you own both of them. That is my analysis for Champions Meeting. There's not many dirt CMs, and she's better in the dirt CMs very slightly. And so that's why a lot of people are saying that they just want to run the Pink Falcon all the time. But I think there is a legitimate reason to run this, especially in the next Champions Meeting and the dirt CMs, particularly the dirt CMs in the future, because this one just happens to give you free groundwork procs. For parenting and Affinity, everyone knows, Kopano Riki, we just had in the previous video, 43 Affinity with Kopano Riki. She is a ridiculous Affinity engine with her. You can go and grab a lot of skills by looping these two together. I'm going to grab drink. Otherwise, you basically have 3 more characters that you can run with her. The rest of them are kind of below 25. It's perfectly fine with all the race matching going on, but the Frontrunner cast basically has very good Affinity with her. High 20s, Agnes Digital, as well, because she has high affinity with a lot of the dirt Umas as well. Otherwise, Mahona Bourbon or Ines Fusion are also options to do so as well. Do note that because of the release of independent training, because all of her aptitudes are E's instead of A's, or rather F's and G's, it's not that hard to go and form a loop with her. You just need some turf sparks. You're going to find you kind of don't really care about the long too much because there's only 2 long races. But if you're able to get a couple of turf sparks and loop onto it and get that turf aptitude to B or higher, you can just kind of independent train with her and you're going to find it's actually very easy to do so. She kind of is in that dirt tiara or dirt crowned lupa. So in conclusion, Smart Falcon Yellow is an option, particularly on longer dirt tracks. Obviously, no long dirt tracks exist, but those medium dirt tracks and those high mile dirt tracks, and basically the way you go and compensate for the fact that she is basically Pink Smart Falcon with upside on dirt, is that on those dirt tracks, you go and make sure that you are getting other things besides stamina to utilize that advantage in the situations where she's actually better than base Falco. I know it doesn't seem like there's a lot of arguments for this character. I think she's perfectly fine. And again, if you don't own Falco and you're a Falco Oshi, go right ahead. And if you're a Falco Oshi and you want the other skin, go right ahead. Don't let anything and anyone dissuade you from pulling for the characters that you enjoy. If you need a little more persuasion, she also does this. Well, let's actually put sound on. All right, burb out.